Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check another VR builds, but before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So previously we saw a pure demon team, and now we're gonna check a pure machine team. For this build, unfortunately, we don't have that many machine type characters at the moment. I hope that Gremory decides to add like a bunch of machine type characters in the future. But right now we're gonna go with Asuka, Emily, and Shisui. If you want to use Saika instead of any of these, that's fine. The only thing is that perhaps you want to keep Emily if you go with Saika, so that you have HP recovery for her. Like, these two can recover HP by themselves, this with the weapon and this with a skill, and Emily recovers HP by herself and also provides HP recovery for the party. So if you use Saika, I suggest you keep Emily on the team. So, starting with Asuka. Asuka, as you can see, is level 81, so she's not maxed out, but she's gonna do fine because we have a bunch of synergies for this team. So, we're gonna be using Serpent of Carnage. Serpent of Carnage is a seasonal weapon. It was given to us for free in an event. 3 copies were given to us. One was to buy, and I use a Demonite on this one because this weapon is just busted. It is super important to have this. Then, this weapon is going to give you HP restoration, for those who do not know, with Kill 'Em All missiles, and otherwise, if you don't have this weapon, Asuka is not going to have HP recovery. That's why we use this. Then we're going to be using Anti-Demon Magatamas. As you saw, 5 out of 5 plus 14. This one is 5 out of 5 plus 12. I have a better weapon, technically, but it gives me less stats because it's a lower S level. So unfortunately, I'll go with this. It's not going to be the highest damage, but it's going to do just fine. So, whatever Magatamas on the other slot. Then, we're going to go green, and we're going to use Mag Impact, because this skill deals a ton of damage. It doesn't matter that this does critical. The fact that it's this skill, it means that it's going to do a tremendous amount of damage. Then we have Kill 'Em All missiles, that is going to be our HP recovery skill as well as a debuffing skill, super important. And Spiral Blast, which is going to be our defense reduction, our second defense reduction. So we have 2 ways to debuff the enemy and 1 pretty powerful attack. And we also recover HP with the weapon, so that's great. I'm going to be using Lina. Like, usually I wouldn't use her on the main, and not on this strategy, but we're going to take advantage of her extra passive. Depending on what boss you're facing on VR, maybe you want to change this. You can go with whatever you really like. Like, a generic option is Saika. If you want to do your crits, maybe you want to use Tokiko on the main to use the active. You can also use Kirara to gain damage reduction and HP recovery. You can use Hisui, so there's a bunch of things that you can do here. I am using her because I'm facing a demon, and the particle charge, the particle consumed to get cooldown, it's nice and all, but the reason why I'm using her is this: reduces damage taken from demon type enemies on allies by 30%. This big damage reduction is the reason why I'm using her, because I'm facing a demon, so I'm gonna receive less damage. Then I'm using White Knight Asagi. You saw that this is pretty good against demons, so be sure to use it. And we're also using Misaki, just to increase the damage. Like, technically this is going to give us a lot of defense reduction, and this gives damage, and this gives damage, so it's balanced. So yeah, she's going to be mainly a debuffer, as you can see. If you decide to go another color, you do need the weapon. It's not an option unless you want to do something different, like maybe use her limited supporter and try to break super armor. That would be a thing. But blue is also pretty competent, and besides, there's a ton of blue supporters that give you HP recovery, so you can use it on blue if you don't have the weapon. You can use this character on blue. Then we're gonna use Emily Simons. As you can see, she's level 87. She's going to be using Sledge of Blessing because she's going to be a buffer, and another weapon, whatever weapon, both plus 5. Yes, 5 out of 5 plus 14, both of them. And there's options if you don't have a Sledge of Blessings. You can use, if you have Bright and Rose, you can use the Momochi weapon along with Bright and Rose. That's an option. If you don't have that, well, like, equip whatever weapon. Like, this one is fine because it gives you a speed increase when you don't use the ultimate, but it's not like super important for the most part. I'm using Anti-Demon Magatamas with Win attribute, whatever Magatamas on the sub weapon, Gravity Hold, Healing Field, and Homing Bullet. Homing Bullet is just to increase my damage, Gravity Hold to recover HP, and Healing Field to heal the party, because it's going to be necessary at some point. Like, they do have their own healing, but the more sources of healing, the better. For supporters, I'm going to use Felicia, New Year Felicia, super good, especially because she's going to increase my survivability thanks to the extra passive that says reduce damage taken from all enemies by 30% for 5 seconds when healing effect is activated every 15 seconds. The active allows you to recover HP, and she has 2 skills that recover HP, so she's gonna be able to take advantage of this. Then Uraru and Arabella. Like, you can equip whatever you want, whatever you find useful, but you want to try to equip things that provide more effects to the party. Like, I don't know. This one provides effect to the party, but it's not that great. Like, unfortunately, there are options, but we don't have a good roster of characters who can give benefit to the whole party just yet. So this is what I'm using. Lastly, I'm going to be using Shisui. For Shisui, I'm using the limited weapon, 4 out of 5. This is the effect when it's maxed out. A Light of Explosion. Am I using that skill? Light of Explosion. Yes, I am. So I'm getting the benefit of this. When using a skill Light of Explosion, it pulls enemies toward the Guardian, and with each successful hit, speed increases by 5.3% for 5 seconds, stack up to 3 times, increases damage of the familiar. The important part is the increased damage of the familiar, because that way you're going to deal a ton more damage. And I have a whatever weapon, Ice and Water Magatamas, both anti-demon, whatever Magatamas. Then Light of Explosion, as you know, because it's the all red skill. Then Bombs Away and Natural Light, Nature's Light. So you can change these depending on how you want to play. I suggest that you always bring Nature's Light, because otherwise you're not going to recover HP. Like, you can rely on Emily, but that's risky. You can also use Guard and Touchdown if you want instead of Bombs Away. Like, the difference is that here you have to wait for the enemy to actually hit you, and here you decide when to use the active. So it's up to you. Arrowing Light is another skill that you can use if you want to debuff the enemy. Tag Team. Tag Team is like a skill you can do just to deal damage. It's not that great. And reduce the enemy's speed. Yeah, like, you can equip whatever you want. I prefer the ones that give you defense, because we have HP recovery, but not that much HP recovery. That's why we're using this. And for supporters, I'm using Momochi Nagi to gain a little bit of damage reduction and damage. Then I'm using White Feather Asuka. If you want to use White Feather Asuka on the main of one of your characters, that's also fine. That's a valid strategy. But here, it's just super, like, to increase my damage. If you don't have White Feather Asuka, go for Susune. Susune is just fine. She's 4% less damage than White Feather Asuka, but it's still a big number. So feel free to use that. And here, I'm using Gear Shisui. This increases the damage of the familiar by 50% and the speed by 10% after using a skill. There is a chance to recover 8% of the lost HP. So yeah, this gives me a ton of damage for the golem and HP recovery. And another important thing is that this decreases the damage taken from allied suppressed type characters by 30%. Shisui is suppressed and Asuka is suppressed. Emily is not suppressed. But that's one thing that you can do. You can use this one. But if you don't have it, because it's limited, maybe you can use this one. Evil Flower Asuka. Evil Flower Asuka is going to increase your critical rate, which isn't that good in VR. We all know that. I mean, it can work, it can happen, but it's not consistent. It's just an added benefit. But there's this. Reduce damage taken by 5.3% per enemy nearby. Consider this, guys. I am facing Queen Kanaloa. This supporter is actually good for Queen Kanaloa and LWS Squad. Those two are going to give you a lot of damage reduction because of the mobs. So yeah, it's fine to use the supporter, especially on the main, because it increases the damage of all the machine type characters. So yeah, that's the idea, that we want to have extra passive that benefit the whole party. So instead of having a Stella that buffs my attack for only Shisui by 30%, I'm buffing the attack of everyone a little bit less, maybe half of it, like 16%, but it's still pretty good. So let's check it. I'm going to manually pilot Shisui, as you can see. So this is not like an auto farm method. You could perhaps, but it doesn't have enough HP recovery for my taste. Like I wouldn't recommend to auto farm with this. This is just to make you aware that you can do strategies with Shisui. Well, with pure machines. Am I confused? Oh, I see. Like that took a while. Nature's light, yeah. Like, you see why I use this? To provide enough damage reduction to the whole party. Like, Emily is never near the enemy, so that's not a problem, actually. But Asuka is near the enemy. That's why using the limited Shisui supporter is going to be so effective. Okay, there we go. And another good thing about this is that we're using a mixed attacker, a melee attacker, and a ranged attacker. Asuka is going to be mix, mainly melee mix. No, range mix. Like, she has a couple melee attacks, but mainly she's range mix. And Shisui is also a mixed attacker. Let me show you. So Emily is pure range, definitely. Then we have Asuka, which is going to be, this is mix. The main hit is melee, but the extra hits are range. This is range. This is melee. So yeah, she's like mixed balance. And Hisui is going to be range melee, and supportive. So yeah, like, they are mixed balance for the most part. So probably at the end, the Queen Kanaloa might block range attacks if you use this team, probably. But due to the fact that you have two characters who can still deal damage, you won't have that much of a trouble here, of a hard time, you know? So yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you find this useful, and I hope that you start using more teams that rely on those extra passives that benefit the whole party. Like, they are pretty good. The thing is that Gremory is not giving us enough of them with a wide variety of traits. Like, we have this that is for demons. This one is also for demons. Like, demons always get the best deals, I guess. We also have this for human. No, this is only for the main character. You have to be careful how you read the effects, because, for example, this is only for the character who has it equipped. The same can be said about this one. Increase damage. This is for everyone, but it's a low number. It's unfortunate. Like, it's good, it's usable, just not the greatest. So, well, that's gonna be it for today, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!